Now, meteorologist Ryan Mahan, your weather authority, powered by AccuWeather.
Well, good to see you again, South Mississippi. Obviously, Hurricane Sally, the focus of the local forecast and the focus of many people's forecasts across the country as we see this storm moving in. Still a hurricane, but has weakened from yesterday. I mentioned earlier the possible reasons for that being just kind of a ragged and disorganized appearance, especially around the eye, that westward, if not west-northwestward shear there, and we are seeing that cooler water being pulled up. I believe it was right around 81 degrees kind of in this area when I measured it earlier, and then closer to 87 as you get out towards the central of the Gulf. So that's a pretty big difference, especially considering it moved in with that warmer water, and because it stopped, it's now pulling up that cooler water, kind of cutting itself off from its fuel source, which is more good news for South Mississippi, as is the track, which has continued to shift east. Now, I was talking about this earlier with our news director, just how interesting this whole situation has developed. And just that Sunday afternoon, I believe, with the 4 o'clock update, this red line that denotes kind of the center where the eye is going to make its landfall was way over here in southeastern Louisiana, kind of pushing, I believe I remember there being a little bit of Lake Pontchartrain kind of poking through on the west side of that line. So just right around there. And in that time, which has just now been about a day and a half, it's pushed all the way almost to the Alabama-Florida line, which is concerning. Of course, that means that everybody in this whole area had their weekend plans ruined and then their beginning week plans ruined. But thankfully, it is improving, at least for the South Mississippi area, and it is still improving as far as wherever it ends up making its final landfall, because it is weakening. So these are all good things for everybody. So still 80-mile-per-hour winds. We're feeling those gusts here at the station. You heard Brantley talking about those. They are pretty consistent. I would say these sustained winds are right on track with where they are supposed to be, and we'll see what those look like here in a moment. So 80 miles per hour as we head into Wednesday just after midnight. That was initially when it looked like landfall was going to be taking place, but the storm basically came to a complete stop. So now we're looking at about 7 o'clock in the morning, so about an hour after sunrise, kind of right here near, there's a pretty good shake right here on the station, kind of shaking one of our doors. But you can see it may do, I don't know if they'll count this here, but definitely could be a double landfall there as it kind of moves on the eastern edge of Mobile Bay. Now that's assuming that it doesn't continue to push towards the east, so definitely could have some issues with that. And you heard earlier that water is already pushing up. Now this is one of our newer cameras here from Harrah's at the Gulf Coast. It's receded slightly from where it was just a couple of hours ago, but it was upwards of about right here at one point. So very, very close to the road, and as I showed you earlier on that radar shot where we're starting to see those storm surge reports popping up there, that we can have some problems with that. So winds right now, right around 22 miles per hour in the Gulfport area. From what I'm hearing here at the station, it might even be a little bit higher than that, at least on the roof. 22 miles per hour there, 18 in Biloxi. You're starting to see Ocean Springs 31 starting to close in on those tropical storm force winds. Mobile is already there, and again, these would be here if that storm hadn't stopped about 100 miles there south of Mobile. So as we take a look at these gusts, which we've been talking about, now we're starting to get much closer and even beyond tropical storm force. 48 there in Mobile, 31 Pascagoula. You're seeing 31, 32 for Gulfport and Biloxi. Lower off towards the west, and that's because things have greatly improved off towards the west. As this storm's track has shifted further and further east, we're now starting to see some of our areas dropping off of the tropical alerts, the watches and the warnings. Now, no longer a tropical storm warning for Pearl River County. Hancock County was dropped from a hurricane warning to a tropical storm warning. We're now seeing Stone County having been downgraded as well, and if that track holds or continues to push east, we'll see more and more of these starting to drop off. So definitely improving greatly off towards the west, but still, especially here in kind of the corner of Jackson County, we're looking like we could still see some pretty significant effects, especially if that landfall does occur right here. That is just way too close. They will get those hurricane force winds. They'll get some of that bigger storm surge, which has been improving as well. Storm surge warnings still all the way from the southeastern corner of Louisiana up up through the Pontchartrain area and all the way into the Panhandle. Storm surge warning still in effect, but those numbers have fallen. We're now looking at about 2 to 4 feet in the South Mississippi area. It has increased to about 3 to 5 in the Mobile area and upwards of 4 to 6 the further east you go, because you're getting, of course, all that southerly flow there. So flash flood watches. I still think rain and flooding are going to be our biggest issues, even as things do weaken. You can see those western counties have dropped off, and as we advance this rainfall forecast through, considering we were still seeing some areas right around half a foot kind of in the Harrison County area, things are dropping off considerably. We're now seeing basically trace amounts off in the Hattiesburg, New Orleans area, a couple of hundredths or tenths of an inch, starting to get upwards of a few inches there for Pascagoula and Mobile. And that's just based on the last update. We were still seeing some 10 inches over near Pascagoula. So things continue to improve, and we will continue to watch this as we head through the rest of the week. Eventually, these clouds and storms will start stopping, and we'll see much more sun as we head towards the middle of next week.